Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it.
Kevin, good evening, you handsome beast.
Woo! Wow.
It's so nice to be, face to face with you again. It's been a minute.
Nice to see you as well. You got a whole new thing going on here, a whole new vibe.
Yeah.
You got new glasses. It's not a new shirt, but it's a new shirt for me and our
I've
watching audience.
I've not worn my hippie tie-dye on here before, I don't think.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah, you kind of got the hippie thing going. Are you a hippie?
I would say probably not.
Okay.
I don't know. What's your definition of a hippie?
I don't
Certainly, I'm not the long-haired hippie.
Well, obviously. I don't know. The hippies that I knew growing up in the late 60s and throughout the 70s, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. The Woodstock hippies.
Yeah, I probably don't fall into that category.
That's not you.
No.
Yeah, you do have some hippie tendencies here and there, though.
Okay.
You got a couple of them.
I'll take that.
All right.
I take that as a compliment.
That is intended to be a compliment.
All right.
We'll start with the tie-dye shirt. Got to start somewhere, and there you go.
All right. Fair enough. So what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm excellent. All is well. As always, looking forward to another lively discussion.
Yeah, me too. Just as soon as this microphone stops shaking, now that I moved it.
Because of your big, massive, pumped up chest keeps bumping into it.
Yeah, I don't think that's the problem. I just keep hitting it with my arm or something.
It's all right. Not bugging me, and I suspect it's not bugging our audience.
Right.
I don't think they can hear it. Yeah, so I got a question for you.
All right.
Do you think before you speak?
Most days.
Okay.
Yeah, I think literally.
Yep.
Yeah, we all do, right? Because you have to have some things going on upstairs to actually make that sound come out and so on. So I guess technically everyone thinks before they speak.
Okay.
Unless there's some kind of medical problem going on.
Okay.
That's not what we're talking about here. That's not the question you're asking, is it?
Probably not. Yeah. I was just kind of. It certainly would appear, though. I would tell you that there are people that I know that would appear to not think before they speak.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you have those people. It's like, did it sound that way in your head?
Right.
Because it sounded pretty jacked up when it came out. Did you
right.
really mean to say that?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, something similar to that topic is kind of what we're talking about tonight. So you want to tell us about it?
Yeah.
Please do.
I think it's a very simple topic.
Okay.
Think before you speak.
Okay.
And again, like I said, you technically have to because of the, skills required, the motor skills, et cetera, required to do so. We're talking about a more deep kind of thinking before you speak. Consider the message that you want to put out there. Consider, how you want what it is you're about to say to land on people. What effect do you want it to have? What's the end result of the communication that you're intending to put out there? Give yourself a minute. Don't. I think sometimes people feel like, oh, somebody said something to me or something happened, I must respond right now.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. You can take a minute and process it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've heard it said that you often look more intelligent when you take a moment and pause after somebody asks you a question and, have that pondering look, if you will.
Yeah.
And then have a more intelligent and thoughtful response to it.
Yeah, I agree. And so many, how many times have you said to yourself, or out loud, probably more out loud, you'd say, wow, that didn't come out right. You say something and you know immediately that what you wanted to say or the message that you wanted to communicate isn't what went out. And you're like, "Ugh, ugh, I wish I could have that back," and you're trying to grab it.
Right.
But more importantly is you may not necessarily even admit this, but you say something and then you realize, wow, I should not have said that, or
Right.
I should have said that differently, or yeah, how do I recover from this?
Right. Yeah, you end up having to fix what you just did, or
Right.
it depends on what it is, right? I mean, you could paint a bunch of different scenarios, but yeah, I had and this actually just occurred to me. This was not the reason I picked this topic, but I had an incident not long ago where I said something that was totally, wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so called somebody a name that wasn't theirs.
Okay.
And it was, it could have been a very embarrassing situation, but it didn't turn out to be. I think sometimes there's just like, things that happen, some divine intervention.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, we're never going to be perfect, but
Right.
your point about take the time to sort of stop for a minute, and I think you're right. By the way, back to sort of pausing for a minute and thinking before you actually say something. The other thing that requires you to do, well, it doesn't require you, it helps you do this whole idea of active listening,
Right.
where you're watching and listening and truly trying to understand what the other person is saying. Here's another habit that's a lot of people get into. They know what they want to say, and so that's all they're thinking about.
Right.
They're not listening at all. They just know how they want to react to something that the other person said early in their response to you, and so you're already forming your retort. And because you're doing that, you can't possibly really listen to what they're saying.
Right.
And so this whole idea of seek first to understand in communication is part of think before you speak, I believe.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself doing that in this scenario when we're having a conversation?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I have.
me too.
I have. And I'm trying to break myself of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because
Same.
you'll be saying something, and it'll cause me to think about something that I'm formulating how I want to respond, and not listening as well as I should. So yeah, I've definitely caught myself doing that.
I've done it I'll say it many times.
Yeah.
And the problem is because you've thought of something that's really good, or you think it's really good.
You don't want to lose it.
You don't you don't want to lose it.
Right.
Exactly. So, but sometimes it makes the conversation a little choppy because, well, I mean, it's the way it is. So,
Yeah, there was only that one time I had to wake you up. It just happened the once.
yeah, but you're right. And you're right about it. It makes you appear to be, well, this person's really thinking about it. Maybe more intelligent. Even if you're not. And for those of you who may not be all that intelligent, I mean, most people are pretty intelligent. But
Yeah, I've seen her by when I say seen it, like read it somewhere, or may have actually seen it on a video where somebody commented on it, as a compliment to Joe Rogan and his style, that he does that in a very effective way.
An active listener.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we'll do the pausing, and kind of you can see the processing before he responds, and yeah.
And I don't remember him taking notes or anything during the conversation.
Yeah, I haven't seen him do that.
He's a sharp guy. He
Yep.
is. I mean, that's why he's so good at it. You don't arrive at that level by not being good at what you do. So
No, absolutely not.
a lot going on up there in his head, and a lot to sort out. And he asks questions in a very good way, and it just makes it interesting. It makes the whole conversation.
Maybe there's something to that chemical enhancement stuff.
Yeah, whatever he's doing, he's doing something right, doesn't he?
You want to start smoking weed on here?
Does he do that regularly? I really don't know.
He has.
Okay.
Yeah, he smoked weed with Elon Musk.
With Elon, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, the one and only puff that Elon ever took was on his show.
Okay,
And,
okay, Mr. Clinton.
You're not buying that, huh? That's what he said, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Anyways,
So,
And I thought about all of those things before I said them. So I said them with intention.
very good. Thank you. I have something that I thought of when I was kind of thinking about this topic and preparing for it, and it reminded me one of the things that people have written about George Washington. Here's a guy who didn't go to college, unlike all the people that he ran with,
Right.
and yet he rose to this like incredibly prestigious, highest position of leadership, and is now the iconic leader that we have, the founder of our country, the person with the ability to lead the troops during the Revolutionary War, the people who had the ability to lead the country through the very first presidency and keep everybody together and talking. But part of his, it's not that he would no one would ever have described him as quiet, but he was very good about knowing when to talk and when not to talk, and the whole idea of silence is golden. Apparently, I read this. I don't know if it's actually true, and I haven't read enough. But during the Constitutional Convention that he was the president of, he
Right.
almost never spoke. He just listened and made decisions and whatever, directed traffic when he need to. But everybody else was debating, the attributes of, we need to do this and we need to do that and this needs to be there and this language, and he just was quiet. And a lot of people interpreted that as, wow, there's an intelligent man.
Yeah. What's the phrase that, you know what you know when you got there. The way to learn more is to listen to the people that you're engaging with, because that's how you're going to learn more, because you already know what you know.
But one of the things I love about him is he lived his life. We've talked about this many times on the podcast, with purpose and intention. So much so that I brought a little show and tell, which you may have not seen me bring in.
I did not. Where were you stashing that thing? Never mind. Don't tell me.
George Washington's rules of civility. He had written down all of these rules to live by, lessons learned that he captured throughout his life, that made him want to behave in a certain way. So his personality and his external presentation was very purposeful, and he followed these rules that he wrote down, and there's a whole book full of them, and several of them have to do with speech and talking to people, and so it's completely consistent. I'm going to read two of them to you.
All right.
You ready? Here's one about think before you speak. Okay, that's our topic.
Right.
Do not speak of things out of place or of such as may shock your hearers. At banquets and on days of rejoicing, do not bring up sorrowful news or accounts of sad calamities, nor filth, nor indecencies, nor afflictions. On the contrary, if such conversation is begun by someone else, do your best to adroitly turn the subject. And it goes on a little bit longer, but you see, here's a guy who predetermined thought predicts present action.
Mm-hmm.
In this kind of a conversation, he already knows how he's going to behave because he's decided, and that's how he's going to talk about it. Think before you talk. That's just one. I picked one other. Here's one. Take care not to speak ill of anyone or to gossip of other people's affairs. At the same time, do not forget moderation in your praises. So in other words, don't overpraise somebody.
Yeah, then they become less impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what an example for us to know that this man who, like I said, is probably the single most iconic figure in American history, was very purposeful in the way that he talked to people. And if there was a person who was very clear about how he was going to speak and how he was going to behave and what he thought about beforehand, it was all there. He did it. And I'm not saying the man was perfect, but I'm saying look what it did for him. There you go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I have not seen that before.
Okay.
I want one.
You're welcome to.
Yeah, I'm
welcome
definitely
to borrow
going
it. Yeah,
to get one. That's pretty cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, there's probably some teachings in there that need to be re-implemented in our society.
There is
No
no
doubt.
doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Yeah, it's an incredible little book, and that's they were his rules to live by, and there's I don't know, a couple hundred of them in there. Maybe not
Yeah.
that, maybe not that many. Over 100, but less than 200. So,
Nice.
rules of civility.
So I think initially we've been talking about, think before you speak in more of a, communication, effective communication
Mhm.
type exchange. The other thing that I would call out about thinking before you speak is, in any kind of a conflict with somebody, you have to understand, and I know I've said this before, I just want to call attention to it now. You have to understand that your words are like bullets, and once you pull that trigger and you send them down range, you can't bring them back.
Right.
The things that you say to people are going to stick with them. What's the old saying? They might not remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel, or something
That's
to that
it.
effect.
Yeah, that's it.
That it's important.
Yeah. It is. Words are important, and you can do damage that you can't undo sometimes. And I won't, but everybody that's listening knows that they have felt a certain way when somebody said something that they will never, ever forget,
Right.
and that you can't take
That's
back.
exactly right. No doubt.
Right. And so it's worth taking the time to think about what you are going to say before you say it. And when you're in a conversation, that doesn't mean have this awkward, every time somebody talks, you have to stop and stare at them for 15 seconds before you speak. You don't want to do that.
No, you don't want to look like you're having an issue. This guy
Right.
thinking or having
Right.
a medical emergency here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you want to, well, simply put, take a second to think about what you're going to say. Seek first to understand. Remember that your words are important.
Yeah.
Think before you speak.
And be kind. Be kind to one another. Be kind to people when you're speaking with them. And notice I said with them, not to them. Speak with people, not at them or to them.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is that why you have that bumper sticker on your truck? Be kind.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't one on there before you got here this evening,
no.
but do I need to go check and make
No,
sure?
no.
The kindness thing is that's a big deal.
It is,
You
for sure.
just that's a base to operate from. Be kind to other people.
That's it.
Yes, indeed. All right.
That's what
Well,
I got.
thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for the for engaging me with this topic.
You're welcome.
It's good stuff. So think before you speak.
Think before you speak, folks. That's the thing.
All right. But now I'm thinking about pushing this button over here.
Might have been something you should think about a
Yeah.
little more in the past.
You think? And then saying something like this, no matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time to enjoy the ride.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.